Hi, I'm Becca Brighty and I am a business psychologist and ADHD coach, and I'm here with the and the brand.
Hey, the. What is a business psychologist?
So a business psychologist is a person who uses an understanding of psychology and who uses an understanding of business to make employees in a workplace or a business owner more effective through the understanding of how their brain works.
Right.
Basically.
Oh, that's right. So how do you? So do you have to go study psychology, then go study business, or study psychology then start a business, and then you?
So to be a business psychologist, you don't ever have to run a business, which I think is crazy. Like I think it should be like an MBA. I think it should be like an MBA where you have to actually have done something in business first.
Yeah.
No, you can go straight. So I did undergraduate in psychology, then I worked for 5 years and I hated it. And then
where did you work then? In psychology first?
No. So I graduated in the crash of 2008.
Oh wow.
So I had a first class honours degree in psychology, and I was like, oh, everyone's going to be queuing up to employ me, and then I couldn't get a job anywhere.
Oh my god.
So there's always jobs in sales, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I worked in sales for 5 years.
But that psychology would have been really good for sales.
So it turns out that I'm so glad so everything that happened, like I hated working in sales, and I never fit in, and I always felt left out, and I would like cry all the time and move jobs and move countries, and it was a very ADHD journey upon reflection. Yeah. But then it turned out, once I did my masters, I was like, oh, it's so good that I had all that experience of like what not to do and what is good and what keeps people engaged and what really pisses people off. And whereas some of the people on my course, most of the people on my course had come direct from psychology to business psychology. So it's called occupational psychology, is what you study. And I thought they were at a disadvantage because it was all like, they didn't know actually, they'd never been in a workplace. So I felt like it was a massive advantage, the fact that I had actually seen the world of work.
Definitely.
So then I could, when we were learn concepts and stuff, it was like, oh, right, when I was in that job, and oh, this would have been better in this job, and stuff like that. So you study business psychology, well, occupational psychology, but I used to call myself an occupational psychologist, and everyone thought I was an occupational therapist.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard occupational psychologist before. Yeah. Right.
And so yeah, that's what you study.
Yeah.
Is occupational psychology.
That's. But do you not find? I feel like sort of business psychology is needed more now than ever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you find in the personal branding space as well?
So I don't know much about personal branding, but I just feel like that's one of the things that I think sets me apart from different ADHD business coaches, is that I understand the psychology of running a business. And if you have ADHD, understanding your own brain is the most important thing for your business, really. Yeah. For anyone, I would argue that that's the case, but even more so for ADHD. So I think that I find it like coaching as a whole industry is a bit crazy, because to me, you should have to have some kind of psychology background to be able to be a coach. But then also, I think for business coaching, I think you should have some understanding of psychology, because it's all about people. Mm-hmm. And so I think ADHD coaching especially, like you can go and do a 6-week course on ADHD coaching and call yourself, you could read the book and call yourself on ADHD coaching and call yourself a coach, because it's not a regulated industry. But for me, I think having that background in psychology, in business psychology, means that then when I've done my ADHD, I was a coach
but also lived experience,
then I think that gives you just a completely different perspective than, not that just coaching isn't beneficial, but I think for ADHD business coaching, having the business psychology background is really, really valuable.
Hugely.
And was amazing for me when I got diagnosed.
Oh, wow. I think you've definitely got the credentials. What do you think, Neil?
100%, yeah. It's interesting you say it's not regulated.
Yeah.
I know, yes.
Yeah. So the coaching industry isn't. You can you could call yourself a coach. You could call yourself a coach, like anyone can say, and that's really frustrating for somebody who's like spent 10 years of their lives collecting qualifications. And then now, especially on LinkedIn, you're like, there's thousands of ADHD coaches. Like I'm like now with my LinkedIn, I'm just like, I'm bored of my own LinkedIn, like, because everyone's like 3 years ago when I was saying your brain's like, this is how your brain works and you're not broken and like you can learn about this, that and the other and you can change your life. Like there wasn't that many people saying it.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel like it's a bit like, well, there's so many thousands of ADHD coaches.
Yeah.
Like I saw them the other day post on LinkedIn saying there's more ADHD coaches on LinkedIn than there are people with ADHD. Yeah. I was like, fair enough. It's like, true, just feel like that, especially like my feed as well, because obviously that's my like world.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, another ADHD to get coaching another ADHD coach. So for me, it's like, but I'm not good at branding, I wouldn't say. It's like frustrating that I do feel like I have got this quite very unique skill set and this unique ability that 99% at least of the ADHD coaches don't have, but that the general population don't. Like you guys said, what's a business psychologist?
Yeah.
Most people don't even know like what that is. And the reaction I usually get is, business psychologist, wow, that's so cool. What is it?
it does sound cool.
It sounds really cool, but then no one's like, what is that?
But it's like talking to someone about brand strategy, isn't it? And just saying, or if you just went to somebody and said, look, I'm a brand strategist, I can help you. They'd be like, oh, great. What is that? What is it? Because everyone, it's the same thing with branding, isn't it? Everyone is brand, this brand, that brand, the other. It doesn't matter what, they just stick brand in front of it now.
Yeah, because it sounds cool, doesn't it?
Yeah. But with everything, isn't it? Because I felt so bad for like photographers for quite a while, because there was, some incredible photographers out there, really learned this skill, like, and amazing talent, and yet then anybody with a digital camera then became a photographer. Yeah. And unless you can tell the difference between like good photography and people would, it was killing the trade. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I do feel it's like that. It is like that with pretty much everything now, isn't it?
I feel like, I think most people can't tell the difference. So like for me with photography, like I really like photography. I think it's when I got married, like me and my husband, we decided we could have 3 things each that was important to us, and that was where we'd spend our money, and then the rest of the things kind of didn't really matter. And photography
3 things? That's
was one of mine.
It's quite a lot, actually.
Well, mine was photography, my dress, and fun.
Fair enough.
And his was the food, the location, and I can't remember what his was. I quite like
that you've just given, and then it takes away the pressure, doesn't it? There's no squabbling about anything. You're just like, no, I'm not fucking doing that anyway. That's your thing. That's my thing. You're not having.
We got to choose, yeah. So like I chose we spent a lot of money on our band because we wanted to have a good way. Like we love
makes all
music.
The difference.
Exactly. We had this. It was an R. We both love R&B and hip hop. Yeah. So I had a hip hop wedding band. Oh, they're called Hip Hop Hooray. They're really good. They're from the northeast. But photography was one of mine. So I think like more than the average person, I would like take an interest in it, and I like feel like for me it's more about the emotions that they capture and what story it tells and stuff. But even still, for me, would I, as a not photographer, know that much the difference between different photographers? And I think that's the challenge that you have in just the world. Unless you're a coach, what does an international coaching federation accredited coach mean to your average person? What does a business psychologist mean? What does, I've done certifications in neuroscience and ADHD and stuff like, it sounds good, but someone else could say they'd done a certification in ADHD coaching, but they've done a £30 online.
And people wouldn't know the difference.
And
that's where that's where branding helps, isn't it? Is because you're rather than, because obviously there are people who are going to appreciate, like I appreciate that, especially when you were talking about neuroscience. I was thinking, because I'm fascinated.
It's so interesting.
I'm so fascinated with it. So yeah, I appreciate all of that. But it's how you talk to your audience, isn't it? And it's talking to them about the things that are going to feel relatable to them, and then that's going to be the difference between a coach who's just done a £30 course and you, because you'll know how to speak to them, and you'll know the pains, you'll know what they're going through, and you'll know how to speak directly to them where they can be like,
if you're a coach who's done a £30 course but you're amazing at marketing, like that is one of the very difficult things about choosing a coach. It's like you've got these coaches who've got like hundreds of thousands of followers, but if you know about this industry, you might be like, is their background, are their credentials like up to scratch? And but they've got like amazing marketing, they've got a big massive budget, they've got connections in the media, they're asked to be on the news all the time, blah blah blah. And then you've got other people who've really, really perfected the craft, who suck at marketing. I'm not saying I'm like bad at it. I think I'm like probably in the middle. But then you've got other coaches who are probably like 10 times better than that person. But then everyone's going to the person with all the followers and who's on the news and stuff, because it does make you trust people. You're like, well, if BBC want to talk to them, then... Or if, you know what I mean? So I think it's really difficult for people to know who to work with.
If you're good at marketing and you understand how to market yourself, then you know exactly how to change the perception of, or how to influence how people perceive you to be. So you could, 10 people, 20 people could have the exact same qualifications, service, experience, everything, but the person who knows how to influence perception is the one that's going to win every time. It's good that people like you exist to help these people to be able to communicate their message. But I do think that is a frustrating thing, especially if you're like for me, before my ADHD diagnosis, when I used to be really terrible at running a business, it was so like it affects your self-esteem, and then it's like, oh well, people say to you like, oh well, invest in this, invest in that, and you're like, I can barely pay my bills, like I can't invest in branding or marketing or learning XYZ because I'm already struggling like to make ends meet. So I do think that is a bit of a rubbish thing, but of course it's the reality of the world, because if you haven't heard of someone, how are you going to work with them? Of course.
I think that is a frustration, that a lot of how successful a business isn't actually to do with how good the person is. It's how well known they are and how good their brand looks.
Or sometimes just how confident you are to just go and put you. Some people win on that alone, don't they? Some people are. I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, by the way, in case that comes across wrong. But there are obviously people who actually aren't very good at what they do, or that it's just they're very basic, but they've just got the balls to put themselves out there and gain traction that way.
And I think that's one of the good things about ADHD coaching for ADHD people. I think like for when you have ADHD, one of the like universal things that you will see in an ADHD person who's not had coaching or therapy.
That'll be me then. So tell me.
Okay, I mean, maybe I'll get this wrong, but a lot of the time people have like imposter syndrome. And they have confidence issues, and they don't feel comfortable to own what they're good at. So they can know, like when they sit down and like someone says to them like, right, tell me what you're good at, tell me what your strengths are, like they'll feel uncomfortable, but they like do know on a level. But then when you say write a LinkedIn post or go to a networking event and tell people like why they should work with you, they can't do that because they feel like, well, no, because people might judge me, because there's something called, I don't know if you heard of rejection sensitivity dysphoria. So rejection sensitivity dysphoria is this thing where you have a very intense emotional response and really extreme, like they've looked at it on MRI scans, and the pain sensors in your brain linked to physical pain are activated.
Why is it more prominent with ADHD as well? Or is it?
It is. So 99% of people with ADHD have RSD, and there's like a few theories about it. So one of them is that because as ADHD people, you're more sensitive to everything. So like you're more sensitive to sound, like with the lights. I was like, oh, can you move the lights? Like you're more sensitive to light. You can't block out. You go into a busy place and you're hearing everything.
Yeah.
So
that's why I sit in the car in the mornings in a car park and make notes on my own. Because just for some reason I can concentrate there and I can't in the house, even though there's nobody in the house either.
Because you're taking it in all the different things like in your house and you're thinking about, well then I've got to make the dinner, I've got to do this and that. So one of the theories about RSD is that because we're more sensitive just to everything, we're also more sensitive to criticism and feedback. So the intense pain that you experience is linked to perceived criticism or perceived rejection. And then another theory is that because of the fact that from being very, very young, you would have received more criticism, more feedback, more correction, more rejection than neurotypical children, that it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. And because as human beings, it's rejection hurts everyone, because from a survival perspective, you need to be part of a tribe. So as humans, we don't want to be rejected. Our brains try and protect us from it. Because from a survival perspective, you need to be part of that tribe. But when you get rejected all the time because you're ADHD and you're a bit different, you don't kind of fit in, then you keep experiencing it. You keep getting hurt more and more and more. So then you try and anticipate it. And so there's a statistic, and I always get, like, you read different ones, that something between 10,000 and 100,000 extra negative comment by the time an ADHD child's 10, they will have received, I can't remember, between 10,000 and 100,000 more pieces of criticism and rejection than a neurotypical child. So if you imagine what that does to someone, but the problem with RSD is it's a horrible experience, but the biggest problem for business owners who have ADHD is they change their behaviour to try and anticipate RSD. So it's like, well, if I'm going to go and do a presentation. Well, if I practice it 100 times, when I probably need to practice it 5, but if I practice it 100 times, no one's going to give me any negative feedback. Or if there's this massive opportunity, I don't quite feel ready and I don't want people to say bad things about me, so I'm not going to take that opportunity. So for me, my business used to be pre-diagnosis. I didn't run my business, RSD ran my business. And I run an ADHD business growth membership. And our last workshop was, who is running your business, you or RSD? And like pretty much everyone there was like, oh yeah, actually RSD is running my business. Like I do pretty much, we have this slide about behaviours that you would do when you experience an RSD, like avoiding opportunities, undercharging, over-delivering, procrastination, people-pleasing, all these different behaviours that you would do because of RSD, and it's not conscious at all. It's just like that feeling is so awful. It's a survival response. Yeah. So it's literally your brain trying to protect you, but by trying to protect you, it's like sabotaging your business. Yeah. Because you're just going about doing stuff thinking it's complete. Of course, I should practice this presentation 100 times. It's really important, but a lot of the time So the reason I talk about the presentation one is that used to be a big one for me. I would massively over prepare for presentations and workshops and stuff, and that is my job. So it was like a lot of time. But then I'd end up saying no to things, so I don't have 100 hours to practice that presentation, or then the amount of time I was spending on that would then take away from more valuable things. So there's two biggest costs to ADHD people, or like ADHD owned businesses, is have something called executive function overload, which is basically where you overload your brain, so you can't be then strategic and logical and stuff, and rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
I wonder if that's what, because I literally avoided doing anything. I'm not in, like, genuinely until I was about 30. That's quite a long time. I avoided anything that would require me having to fail, because I was so terrified of failure. And I'm wondering if I could potentially put that down to that. I got diagnosed with ADHD a couple of years ago, but I didn't know that it was that. And I'd heard everyone talking about it, and I was like fucking sick of hearing about it. That's genuinely, that's what I was feeling like. And the doctor, I'd been back and forth to the doctor like all my life for various things, constantly told that I had depression or that I had anxiety or that I had this, I had that, whatever it was. And then eventually it was the GP that said, that referred me. And I said, but it's not, I've heard about ADHD, it's just this, that and the other. It's not whatever I've got, because I had like insane mood and there was no middle for me ever. I was either like high as a kite or just complete flat down there. There was no in between, and I would have like severe rage. So my mum, when I was little, she would have to, and my teenagers as well. In fact, if I'm really honest, like my early 20s, she was still doing it. Like grabbing hold of me and like pinning me down against a wall and going like count to 10, breathe, because I would just for no reason. I'd kick doors off hinges, like smash things, and that went on for most of my life. And that was one of the things that the doctor had said, do you have ADHD? And I was like, oh God, no, I haven't got ADHD. And then why? Well, I'm just thinking about this and I'm thinking about that and everything else in school and all that. I forgot to bring them, my school reports, because I talked about them. And I still have them from high school as well. And in my high school and my middle school ones, and they say that it's as if she wants to disassociate herself from school. So it wasn't that I wasn't like hyperactive or anything. I was just completely like not
switched off,
not there at all. Like this, and then I've got about 3 different reports from different teachers saying about a child, she's disassociated, and I'm thinking, could you imagine if you thought someone was disassociated? Like, would you not go and speak to them?
Well, you would think
you would think so. But and then I was just terrible in school because I couldn't take anything. I couldn't concentrate. But then you can see them as they get, and then in high school, middle high school, then towards the end of high school, I've got the headmaster saying, you have got however many months or weeks it was to improve your reputation. So you can see how I've gone to just going, fuck it, and then just turning into a complete arsehole. But it wasn't because I was horrible. When I look back, I wasn't horrible. I was horrible because I hated myself. You know?
I think that's an experience a lot of ADHD people have had in school, I think. I know I certainly did.
Yeah? Did you turn a bit rebel?
Yeah, I got expelled. And
yeah?
I was. It's different, completely different now, but yeah, I was like you, I didn't, it wasn't that I just switched off.
Yeah. Did you not just go, well, I can't do it anyway, so fuck all of you?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's the pattern, you see, like that's something that I talk about a lot with people, is like having ADHD isn't a problem. Like it is literally, there's nothing it will stop you from doing. If you took us, like we all have, so we us 3 have ADHD, and took us back to caveman times, there would be no disadvantage to having ADHD. In fact, it would be an advantage, like pattern spotting, thinking really quickly, having extra ability to see things, hear things, sense things. Like we just be like,
because they're not taught.
We judge you neurotypical people. Like there's no actual problem with having ADHD. It's the coping mechanisms that people put in place because of having ADHD is what cause people problems. So like a lot of the coaching that I do with people, it's not about like, so a lot of the time when people are stuck in their business, they're like, I need to learn this marketing, I need to get a LinkedIn coach, and maybe you do need to do that, but if you would do all that but you've still got all your faulty coping mechanisms, your business isn't going to be successful anyway. So a lot of the stuff I work on with people is teaching them about their brains, about things like executive function and spiky profile and interest-based nervous systems, which I can explain what they mean if that's helpful. But a lot of it is like, okay, so because you had an interest-based nervous system, what was your coping mechanism? Right, now we need to unlearn that and put into place a more helpful thing. Because it's that, a lot of the time, once people get to be like, in any level in their career, but especially with high achievers, what you see is like these people who are so doing so well on paper, but they don't feel it.
Yeah.
They can't ever like accept their own success. They feel like everything's in chaos. They feel like they're pretending. They feel like they're going to get found out. They're in a race against themselves. And it's like, yeah, well, if you've built your whole career on coping mechanism that you got taught because, well, you developed yourself because you needed them in order to cope in a school that was saying to you, well, you need to concentrate and you need to sit still and you need to focus, and you're like, literally my brain cannot focus, like that is how it's wired. Unless I'm really interested in something, I cannot focus sitting still. If you let me walk around the classroom, then I'll listen. But so if you've developed all these coping mechanisms that have got you through school, that have then got you through university, that have then got you to a certain point in your business, of course you're going to use them, and a lot of the time they're really helpful coping mechanisms. But you get to a point where you'll get stuck, you'll be exhausted, and then you'll just be like, I don't understand, I'm trying to give more and more and more, but I can't. It's because it's not actually like your real self. It's just these coping mechanisms that you've put into place because of living in an environment and a world that's not designed for how your brain is designed.
That's really interesting, that. I just said recently, actually, because I've only just kind of realised it, that because I spent my whole life believing I was stupid. And I talk about this regularly. This is my favourite quote on the planet, and I cried my eyes out when I first read it. And it was if you judge a fish by its ability to climb, a tree, it'll spend its whole life believing it's stupid. I could just cry just even saying it out loud. It's like, oh my God, that was me. It's unreal. And then, but everything in my life reinforced the fact that I was stupid.
Well, everyone would have, yeah.
So school did. First school, everything. I remember this is so stupid. I laugh about it with my friend now because we were still friends. We were literally friends in first school, and it was like we had to ring a bell, like physical bell back then.
It was exciting, wasn't it, when you got chosen?
No, I was terrified.
Oh, were you?
Oh, it was like the worst thing ever. So I was hoping I was never going to get picked, and then I got picked. And I remember just standing in the hall, and I was just stood there on my own, and I was thinking, what if that's not the right time? I don't know if I'm telling the right time or not. I was just overthinking it. I was nearly crying, and then it was like the hand went to the 12, and I was literally probably sweating, shaking, crying. I was terrified to ring the bell in case it was the wrong time, and I just didn't know if I could tell the time or not. That was the last year of first school as well, you know. I rang it. And it probably took me the rest of the day to get over that horrific experience. That's
because you don't trust your brains, or like ADHD people, like I don't know about you, and I'm not like this now because I've like learned how to regulate myself much better. It still happens sometimes, but pre-diagnosis, some days I'd wake up, I'd be so intelligent, I'd be like, hi me, and then other days I'd wake up and I'd be just like, I don't even like know what my name is, like, you know, like when in Starbucks where they say to you, what's your name, and I'd be like, Becca, I think.
I do that a lot.
Maybe you've got executive function overload. So like how can the person who's like getting up one day and like being super intelligent and then getting up the other day doesn't know their own name, trust their brain? So I think that's a difficulty of living with ADHD, is like, as that child, you're like, yes, of course I know how to tell the time. Like I know that logically, but maybe it's actually the little hand that's meant to be on that, and maybe I'm not seeing it properly. And
just doubt yourself all the time.
Yeah, because when you've done your spelling tests on a Monday, you might have got 10 out of 10, and then you did the same test on a Friday and you got 3 out of 10, and then you got a red cross and a must try harder.
I would have never got a 10 out of 10 all the way through school. That's like all the way through, even high school. I was just failing. And the more I failed, I think the more I just believed, it's because you're stupid. Because everyone else is managing. How come everyone else is managing to do this homework and I can't even remember what the homework was? And how come everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing right now? Why do I not know?
That's
I'm constantly in high school, and I was horrible in high school, and I regret it. And anybody that I was horrible to in high school, please get in touch with me. And I just can't, like, I genuinely will love you right now. I was just very, very insecure and hated myself a lot. But I'd be like, have you done your homework? They'd be like, come here, give us a copy of somebody's. And if they didn't let me, I remember being like, oh, for fuck's come on, fucking hell. And just, how can you not let me copy your homework? Come on, what's wrong with you? And they were probably just thinking, fuck you, I'm trying here, and you're just turning up. But really, that was just me being completely insecure, believing that I was completely stupid, and not understanding how everybody else knew how to do the homework, remembered that they had homework, even just remember, could get to school on time.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the... Sorry.
All I was going to say was that those coping mechanisms that you develop at school, and everything stems from that, because it's that kind of one-size-fits-all education system that we have.
Yeah.
That if you don't learn like somebody else learns, or your brain doesn't work in quite the same way, there isn't a place there for you, because they teach it one way or no way. So if you can't get it that way, then you're thick.
Yeah. 100%. I remember when I picked our GCSEs, and I ended up doing design and realisation, which it was then, but I picked design and technology, and that really interested me. And the first class that we had, the teacher stood up and went around the class, and I was Anna Glass at the time, and it was like Anna, and he read the name Anna Glass, and he went, ooh, David Glass's sister, in front of the whole class. And I was like, and he was really academically clever. He's just 2 years older than me, so we were in school at the same time for a few years. He was the clever one, and I was the stupid one. So that I was then being referred to as David Glass's sister, and then his exact words were, oh, looking forward to this, then we're expecting good things. I just went, right, nope, and left the class and went and did design and realisation instead.
And that's RSD. That's you protecting yourself. So, because that teacher then had certain expectations of you, that straight away you went, I can't meet those expectations. I'm just going to remove myself, so that I don't then fail in that person's eyes.
And I always picked the easiest option from then on, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to fail that. So that's just the easiest thing to do. Yeah.
And so it's like just so unfair that this thing of ADHD people don't try. Maybe you did switch off, but the effort it took you to get to school, to have remembered your books that you needed for that day, that might have been more than it took for the straight A students to be getting their straight A's.
Yeah.
So I just think that this perception of the world that the world has, where ADHD people aren't trying, is now I honestly think if I died tomorrow, I would have tried more than a lot of the people I know in 10 lifetimes.
Yeah.
Because I'm just just getting to this age, I think anyone late diagnosed ADHD should just get to have a medal, people singing to them on the way to work, cheerleaders, because it's just the effort, not effort. Oh man, where do you live?
Are you around there?
Aeroplanes flying overhead, because of the amount of effort you have made to make it through school. If you've gone to university, to make it through university, to have a job, to, a lot of people end up ADHD people end up self-employed, to learn then just how to run a business.
Yeah.
And then if you've got kids who are probably 50% likely to be neurodivergent, to raise children all undiagnosed, even diagnosed is a challenge, but undiagnosed ADHD, not knowing what's going on, I just think that's such a big achievement that you should just be able to just be right, okay, I can just be happy with myself every single day because I did that, and that is just in itself absolutely amazing if you can survive that.
Yeah.
And not just survive it, but thrive. So you seem I've just met you, but you seem you are in certain elements thriving. And so I think a lot of the skills that's good about ADHD is it teach you to be resilient, because when every single day you have to go into an environment that you hate, where a lot of the time you don't know what's going on. That thing where you said, how do other people know what we're meant to be doing? I remember almost every single lesson I'd be what are we doing? What are we meant to be doing? Who are we copying? Is it that picture? Which thing are we on? And then, when you do the thing where you would read around the class, that was horrific, because you were when they get to me, I won't even know what page we're on, because I've completely lost, gone off in a world of my own. So then you're just concentrating so hard that you actually can't learn anything in that lesson, because you're just trying to keep track of where you are in the book.
Awful.
So it's just so unfair that there's this thing about ADHD people being lazy, where it's no, just to get through every day, you're putting in so much effort.
Yeah. Oh, honestly. And people school to me is somebody writing on a blackboard and talking at the same time. First of all, I can't concentrate on that because you're doing two things, and which one am I supposed to listen to? And then at the same time, I'm supposed to be doing something in my book. Right, well, there's 3 tasks. You can either read the writing on the board, but then that would never stick in my head anyway, or listen to you talking, or do what's in the book. But how are you expecting me to do all 3 things at the same time? That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And even at uni, when I went into lectures and people were listening to the lecturer and typing on the computer and making notes. And so I would go out the lecture thinking, I enjoyed it and I understood it, but I couldn't make notes because I have to listen and understand. So now I've gone away and I can't remember anything that they've said, and you're all going away and writing stuff about it or referring to your notes that you've typed on a computer.
That's amazing when people can type and listen.
Isn't it insane? What?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so that's why I go and sit in a car park and make notes.
Well, that's a good coping strategy.
Oh man,
strategy rather than mechanism. They're 2 different things. Like, that's a healthy behaviour that helps you with your life.
Yeah, so I think instead of me thinking this is so weird, like, people must be thinking, what the fuck is she just been? Because this is in Rothbury, you know, like, there's not many people in the car park. People are just coming and going to walk their dogs, and I'm still just
the woman who sits in the car.
Yeah. She is fine.
It's weird.
But that's like, if we were in coaching together and you were telling me like, oh well, when I'm in the office I can't really make my notes because there's this going on, that going on, people calling me, and then when I get in the house I've got to think of this, da da da. Mm-hmm. We'd be having a conversation about, okay, so where is a place where you feel calm? Where's a place where it's quiet? Where is a place where you do feel like, and like, maybe that is what we would come to.
Yeah.
So you've
because you can't even make yourself a drink, because there would be something, wouldn't there? There would be some reason, but you can't leave your seat. Mm-hmm. So I think that might be part of it for me. I can't leave my seat because I'm in a car park. Mm-hmm. Whereas
Sounds
you
good.
would just you would find a reason,
mm-hmm.
or there would be some sort of distraction.
Yeah, because planning's really hard for ADHD people. So yeah, doing something like that. So I mentioned executive function before.
Yeah.
So executive function, all people have executive function. It's just the way that your brain, different parts of your brain work together. But it's what allows you to do complex tasks. And by complex, I just mean anything that we have to think about is classed as a complex task. So like walking doesn't require executive function. Like breathing doesn't require executive function. Driving, when you first start learning, requires a lot of executive function, and then it gets less over time. Things like going to the supermarket, remembering what you need to buy, requires a lot of executive function. ADHD people have up to a 30% delay in executive function. Oh, God. So I tend to think of that as like either everything's a third more difficult or everything requires a third more energy. Mm-hmm. Planning, so executive function is responsible for taking action, so actually doing stuff. Focus, so focusing on something, sustaining your attention on that thing, but also shifting focus. So none of this happens to you. Like if I'm enjoying something, I'm like, I cannot get out of this. Like this is really hard for me to move on to the next thing. Emotions. So managing your own emotions. So you referred to like being really angry and stuff. Emotional regulation is difficult. Energy, so managing your energy. Mm-hmm. Your memory, so your working memory, that is. So you might be able to say to me like, oh well, what did you eat when you went to Barcelona 10 years ago? And I could tell you it was this amazing fish platter. It was fantastic. But if you come to me and I'm on my phone in LinkedIn and my inbox, what are you doing? And I'm like, and then I have to go on this little memory trip down memory lane of like, well, I was looking at this, then I decided to message this person, and that made me think I needed to do this, and then I can tell you.
Yeah.
And that's because it affects your working memory. And so all those things are a third more difficult. And so if you think of a day, for everything you're doing, you are required, if you're running a business, everything requires executive function. Just choosing what to wear in a day requires executive function. So everyone's using it all the time, but you might have somebody who's got ADHD. By the time they arrive at their work, they've got the same as somebody who's after lunch. Like on after lunch, you're like on the cruise and to the end of the day, but that's where they are in their brain. Mm-hmm. Something like planning, if you think about the things I just mentioned, planning is very difficult for ADHD people. So if you're going to then introduce things like distractions and noise, and I can just go and make a coffee, your brain's always going to want to do that because that's easier.
Yeah.
So you trapping yourself in your car to do this task that's hard for your brain, like that makes absolute perfect sense to me.
You're right. You
Look
know,
at you.
Thank you. I'm gonna rethink the way that I feel about that now, and I'm gonna think, no, this isn't weird that I'm doing it. I'm doing this because this is what I do, because this is what I find it easier, and this makes me more productive. Yes, I am a weirdo in a car park.
Planning my life and my takeover, world
Nailing
domination, branding.
I love that. No, I am. You've made me rethink that. I haven't even looked at my notes, because I could just chat to you randomly.
But I'm glad because I think the way we got started on this was you were like, right, I want to speak to someone who's going to convince me that coaching is worthwhile, ADHD coaching.
That's right.
And there you go. See, just
absolutely. No, you're right, because I still haven't had coaching. Partly because of what I was just saying to Neil earlier on. So I've been sort of half diagnosed with type 2 narcolepsy by my neurologist, but all they know for sure is I have parasomnia, which is basically every single night I have really bad, vivid nightmares. There's a lot of sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming, and every single night, sleep paralysis several times a week. But every night, yeah.
So what causes that?
So I've had this for, I can't remember when it even first started, but there can be things like trauma, like PTSD, but as far as I'm aware, I don't have, and narcolepsy, which is basically a REM issue.
I would say that anyone who's late diagnosed ADHD has trauma. I don't think you would get many people who would be late diagnosed.
The person who referred me for the ADHD at the GP, when I mentioned that to them, they said, well, if you've got ADHD, then that's probably because of that. And I was like, I know loads of people with ADHD and they don't have that type of...
I've never heard of that. Yeah. That sounds horrendous.
It's awful.
You must be scared to go to sleep.
So I'm now on tablets, which clomipramine. Right. I've never been able to say them. Been on those for several years, and they just slightly reduce your REM sleep. They make it easier to go to sleep, and they make me able to sleep longer periods. And it doesn't take it away, but it just slightly reduces it. So they're not, the way that I describe it is, instead of them being really movie-like, they're more like a little series.
Oh, fun. Binge watch overnight.
Yeah. I used to write them all down when I remembered. But I can literally wake up from a dream and tell you what I've read I can pick up a letter in my dream and read it word for word, and then I can wake up out of my dream and literally tell you everything that was on the note.
Oh my God.
Every little detail, conversations. It's that vivid, but it interferes with memory so much that you sometimes don't know what is real memory and what isn't.
Wow.
So it's a total, and I was convinced for a while, well, that's probably why I have ADHD symptoms, is probably because of that, but then someone said it might be the other way around, and who knows. But the good thing is, the tablets that I'm on, they stopped my mood. Yeah. I've got genuinely, I've went from where when it happens, the rage, like something will irritate me, and I can feel it, and I can't control it. I have to leave the room, or it's hard to describe. It's like uncontrollable type of rage. Mm-hmm. It's gone completely. I've literally never ever had it since. I'm on a complete plateau. In fact, if anything, you probably couldn't get me angry. Honestly, apart from in the car, I get really bad road rage. Right. But other than that, genuine, it's unreal. It's literally saved my life in a way.
Mm-hmm. So I think, like, for people, everyone come to ADHD coaching for different reasons. So like, if for you found that like having ADHD actually doesn't really bother me except for this extreme emotional dysregulation.
Oh, it bothers me because I feel like it's ruined most of my life.
So for you, if you were to say, like, if that was the original thing, like, oh, I'll see if ADHD coaching can help with this emotional ups and downs.
Yeah.
And then you've got rid of that, you might think, well, I don't really want to do ADHD coaching anymore. But then if you have other things like, well, I'm distracted and I'm procrastinating and I feel a bit like I mask and I don't necessarily be my authentic self in a lot of situations, and I over prepare and I'm undercharging and I'm not achieving my potential, and like there's so many different reasons why you might want to have ADHD coaching, but that's individual to each person. So, like I can't convince anyone, like I was talking to my dad. So my dad is like, I don't know if I gave you the ADHD. I'm like, no, Dad, you definitely did. Like his house is just like a bomb site, and my mum's house is like you can, like just like no, like not even one like piece of dust. And like my dad was just like, whoa. So anyway, he was telling me about like, I've been procrastinating, and like it's a sunny day, and you'd think I'd want to go out on a bike ride, but like I just like hang around the house all day. And so I was like saying to him, like, let me explain to you, like, your parents are like the worst. I think like my kids will probably be the same. I'll probably be the same with my kids, where I'm like, this is my job. Like, can I not just tell you how your brain works, and then it'll maybe help you?
Yeah.
So I was talking to him about like why procrastination happens, and this executive function thing mixed with something called an interest-based nervous system. And then he was like, all right, okay, but is there a book on it? And I was like, well, you can have a book if you want, but like a book isn't going to tell you why you do what you do and what this potential solution is. I don't think I should be a coach, but I've got some really good associates and they could be your coach. And so for him, I'm not going to try and convince him that he should do coaching, because you have to come to it with something yourself. Or like there might be people in my business growth membership. So I run a ADHD business growth membership.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that as well, yeah.
And there's people in there who would definitely benefit from one-to-one coaching. But like, unless they're going to come to me and say, oh, I've got a challenge with this, it's not for me to say to them like, well, you should have coaching for this, you should have coaching for that. It's like, if a person feels like, oh, I've got this challenge and I would like to change it and I'm willing to put effort into changing it, they're the people who will really benefit from coaching.
Do you think people struggle though? Because I'm just open, you know, I've just literally told you what drug I'm on and the fact that it stopped me having rage. I don't mind, like I just don't care. I'd happily talk about all of that. But I know that some people, especially, you know, because we're adults or mums, we've got kids and we run a business, and should I really admit to people that I get imposter syndrome and that I feel like this? And because then if people know that, and they're going to think that, well, you're not very good at your business, or you talk yourself, you know, and actually, because it's not just ADHD, I don't think I've spoken to anyone who doesn't suffer with imposter syndrome. Even the most successful people in the world suffer with it. I get it all the time. So yeah, just people are, for some reason, they don't want to admit it, or they feel a bit ashamed or embarrassed.
So I feel like with imposter syndrome, I used to think like, because I was an imposter syndrome confidence and resilience coach when I used to be neurotypical before I got diagnosed. And so imposter syndrome is like pretty prevalent, especially in very like senior women, especially. But there's a difference between imposter syndrome and how ADHD people feel about getting found out. So imposter syndrome tends to like show up in certain scenarios. ADHD people, how I've had it described to me and how I feel it is, I'm not really being me. So like I used to say, sounds a bit crazy, but I used to say, I wish I could go to a mental institution for a couple of weeks, so I could stop pretending. And I used to say this to my mum like quite a lot, and she'd be like, what are you pretending? And I was like, I don't know, but I don't feel like this is how other people experience life. Like it just feels too hard.
I understand that, yeah.
And so I always had this thing of like, I'm not quite being me. I don't know who me is, but I'm not being her.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm doing. And I was a very good, like I was good at selling, because I was always could anticipate what people wanted, and I could be that person. Like same in relationships with like boyfriends. It'd be like I had this boyfriend who's like in the army, who's really into fitness. I've never been so ripped in my life. Like I love fitness, I love running. Like you could just be like whoever.
Yeah.
I look at pictures and I'm like, oh, that healthy boyfriend really did a lot. Did a lot for my abs. And I have a husband now who loves food and wine, so peaks and troughs. But not against him, against me. I would like to cut this out.
That'll be such a good bit to cut though, won't it? Just that on its own.
I'm like, what are you saying? He's in good shape too. I just want to put it out. I meant about me.
Stop digging.
Anyway, what was I saying? So there's a difference in my experience, because I used to work with a lot of people who had imposter syndrome, and I used to run workshops on imposter syndrome. There's a difference in imposter syndrome, which tends to show up when you're on like the cusp of your own comfortableness of how good you are, versus people with ADHD who feel like all the time they're not quite being themselves. And it's described as imposter syndrome. People say like, oh, I feel like I'm going to get found out. I feel like I'm not like as good as what I'm saying I am. And that's because that's people have heard of imposter syndrome, and especially if you're not like, if you're late diagnosed, you've not really got the vocabulary of what it is that you're experiencing, which is masking. So masking is this thing where pretty much all ADHD people do, where from a very young age you observe people in your environment. You be yourself, and then you're like, oh, that's not very good. That didn't go down very well. So I'm going to be someone else. And it's not conscious. You're just like, I'll just be a little bit less enthusiastic, and I'll be a little bit more curious, and I'll be dress a little bit different. And you just tweaking to make your version more palatable for the world. But if you're doing that your whole life, of course you're going to feel like you're going to get found out, because you're doing it for everything.
Yeah. Well, you definitely do that I mean, can we turn the heating down? Is anyone else boiling? Have I got to...
My wet patch might have dried now. I
was just dead conscious for a second there, because I've got my socks on. I was thinking, my socks are all dirty when they come.
I know, I was thinking I wouldn't take mine off, and I was like, no, these are definitely like 2 days old. I'm not.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say now. What was I saying?
We were talking about masking.
Yeah. Because clearly we're doing that, like we do that most of our lives, because we're not going to let people know that we're just constantly like late and forgetting things, and not really understanding what someone's saying, and not getting this and not remembering. So we're just going, yes, and then we go away and go, what the fuck was everyone talking about there? And
then you like go away and like Google things.
Yeah.
Is that not kind of what you did with this previous boyfriend then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like, so that's a very, very extreme version, like running a half marathon. But on a lower level, it's like just being exactly like, we don't want people to know like the heck your house is just like covered in shit because you are needed to run out the door at the very last minute, and then you arrive, you're like, hi guys, you're trying to hide that. And that you exactly, when you're in school and like you don't know what's going on, and you're just trying to like sneakily look at your friend's book because you don't want people to know you've not been concentrating because you've been in a world of your own.
But then you go home and just die inside because everyone else seems to just get it and you don't.
Yeah, and so masking is really, it's the biggest cause of burnout in ADHD people, because it's so energy intensive.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do it, but you feel like you have to, and that's one of the things that I love about ADHD coaching, both as an experience for myself and what I see in other people, is them learning how to be themselves. Because like, how you've been a person, like when I first started learning about all this, I was like, I'm just a coping mechanism. Like, I'm not, like, the more I unpicked it, the more I learned about these different brain mechanisms and understood the way I acted. I was like, I'm not even a person, like, just going around being a coping mechanism, being coded by the world, like I'm not even, and it was like really sad, a really sad like experience. But then now, so I've nearly been diagnosed for 4 years now, and it's my obsession, as you can see. Now I am me. Like, I don't, like, there was a phase where it was like I was me sometimes, and then I wasn't me in other environments, and I was like, I'm just not going to put myself in that environment for a while. And then now, pretty much like 90% of the time, I'm just myself.
Yeah.
And if you saw, like, we were doing this podcast, say, 5 years ago, and then we're doing it now, you probably wouldn't see that much difference. It's just like, I'm not trying to anticipate what you're going to say. I'm not making up like reasons why my car broke down. Sorry, I'm late. My car broke down. Like, oh shit, I've driven to the wrong place. Like in the past when I went to the wrong place because I didn't check the sat nav, I would have been like, felt so like, oh, I'm so stupid for not checking the sat nav. Like now I'm keeping people waiting and they're going to think I'm ridiculous and I shouldn't have a business. I'm clearly not like cut out for this, right? I'm going to have to apply for a job all because I've driven 0.3 miles down the road and ended up in like a cul-de-sac. It's like that, like how fast your brain goes to like, I should just not even be allowed to talk to people. But like now it's just like, oh, I'm just in this wrong, I just rang you like in this wrong place and you're like, oh, it's just here. And it's like, so you can't necessarily tell the difference in a person because it's very like, it's not like obvious to see when someone's masking, but as on the experience of it, it's so much nicer to not be like going on that crazy spiral and feeling like when I used to, because I used to be a coach, I used to try and anticipate what people were going to say in coaching sessions and like plan answers and stuff. It's like what a rubbish coach. Listening's meant to be the top skill and I'm trying to guess what they're going to say. And you can't be present properly like that. So there's just so many things, but yeah, masking I think probably is like not masking is so amazing. But yeah, so to the imposter syndrome thing, what you would probably describe as imposter syndrome would be probably different to what a neurotypical person would experience of imposter syndrome.
No, I fully get that. That makes so much sense. And actually the masking thing, because there'll be absolutely people that I've met in my past. So for like maybe at the beginning of my business journey, like what about 15 years, whatever it is, I bet there's people who I met in the first 5 years who would maybe describe me as, oh no, she's very, probably not professional, but they might have, because I'll have turned up to a networking meeting and just pretended that I'm just like this, I've just got it all together and I've clearly just not been running around like an idiot, like being late, and then my kids going, Mom, you forgot again, where's my packed lunch? Oh, and then you just go, right, and just walk into the, instead of just walking in and just being, why would you not just walk in and be you? It's insane to me now.
That thing you say about the school, like that school lunchboxes thing is a perfect example. So like I took my kids in their school holidays to a craft club thing, and like I got there and I was like all the other children with like school, like the lunchboxes and like the drinks, but like my children at nursery they get food and at school they get food, so I was just like did not think of the fact they're not gonna have food. And so I just like went to the supermarket, bought loads of random stuff from Sainsbury's and bought them bottles of water and took them in the carrier bags now. And I think in the past I would have been like so embarrassed about that. And I think that's the amazing thing about learning about your brain is just like, I am not a less person than that other mother. I'm not a worse mother because she doesn't have like a K-pop demon hunter lunchbox and a matching water bottle.
Just because they're more organised than you. And that's sometimes that is all it is.
And that's I think that's like what people judge themselves on and think other people do judge you. Like last night I forgot parents' evening and I saw my calendar afterwards and was like, oh no. And then I went in like, and this is really rare for me, like I went into this spiral of like, and I have been, because I'm in like a bit of a strange living situation, I have been like forgetting more things than usual, and she'll like go in like wrong shoes and stuff like that. And I was just like, I don't want them to think that I don't care about her education and like her because I don't go to a parents' evening. And I was even talking to ChatGPT about it. I was like, I don't get in these spirals. This is so insignificant. I don't understand why I'm like getting so worried about it. And think it's just because there's been like quite a few things. And when I went this morning, the teacher was like, it's fine, it happens all the time. But I think that in general, that kind of thing, like that's the type of thing where if you've got children, every day you're gonna like, there's a potential to forget something important. And if you're judging yourself because you don't understand your brain every single day, of course that's going to affect your self-esteem and like how you show up in the world. So I just think there's so much power for ADHD people to actually understand how their brain works, like for their business, for their being a parent, for being a friend, like remembering people's birthdays. Like people put a lot of like
how do people even do that though?
To that, and then getting them a really thoughtful present and like sending it in time that it's going to get there by the post. And then you're like, oh, so I'm a less good friend.
Instead of thinking, isn't that lovely that she does that? We just go, isn't it shit that we don't?
Yeah, exactly. And you think like other people like view you like that, but maybe other people view you because you're a good listener, or because you're funny, or because you think of like random fun stuff to do on the day out, or you always end up on some kind of adventure when you go out with Anna, you know, like that kind of thing. But you just see like the stuff that you don't do. Whereas I think my experience of myself, my clients, is once you understand your brain, you do see, oh, actually, yeah, maybe I didn't bring a packed lunch, but we went on an adventure and it was really funny.
Yeah, totally. I went on a spiral. It was literally only last week. I went on a spiral because Ollie, my 12-year-old, and we've got such my boys, my 3 boys, we've got such a lush relationship. Like I'm more me with them than I am just any. They know every side, drunk me, every me, they know. And so they actually keep me right as well, which is quite funny. So Ollie's only 12. And he'll actually remind me of things. He'll go, Mum, don't forget.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
I'll go, I know, I won't. But it was on one of those spirally things where I was judging myself because Ollie had said, he'd asked me to do something. And I went, yeah, no problem, we'll do that tomorrow. And he went, but you won't do that tomorrow because you'll forget. And I went, no, I won't. I'm going to put it in my... Because I was dropping him off at school. And I says, no, I'm going to put it in my calendar and set the alarm like I always do. And he went, Mum, you'll not even remember to set the alarm and you won't remember it. And so all the way home I was going, alarm. And then when I got home, put the alarm. And then I could relax. And then I just went into a spiral of utter shame because he's 12 and he was saying, and he shouldn't have to say that to his own mum. And that made me think he doesn't trust his own mum. And all of this horrible stuff when we're so close and just have the best relationship ever. And I know how much he loves me and he knows how much I love him. But all I could think was, I've let him down. I'm just a complete failure. My own children don't trust me. It's awful.
Then if you think of your strengths, what would you say your strengths are?
Because they know that I'm listening. I'll listen to them all day long and I'll understand. I'll take all the time in the world to listen to their stories, do whatever they want together, you know, have fun with, laugh. Like the 3 of us, like we laugh till we cry, like you know, like you do with your best friend. Literally like that, where we can't even breathe, tears.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like we have such a good relationship, but I will absolutely pick out the shit and judge myself.
And I think like then that's just obviously not at all helpful. And I think when people do have a bit of a disorganized parent, like I'm really reframing this, but like I do think it teaches them that like if you make mistakes, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
So like my mum, she's super organized. Like she's always telling me and my sister, write it in your diary. And me and my sister like message each other like, oh, that'll cure our ADHD. Like, yeah, thanks, Mum. But she and it for her it works. Like every morning she checks the diary, like she's on time for everything. But she like holds so much store by that.
Yeah.
But then when you're the like chaotic person that me and my sister are, and you have that as a person who holds so much store by that, and you're so different from it, it's quite hard. Whereas I do think there is something in like seeing a person who can own like, yeah, I am disorganized. Like I'll say to my daughter, because I'm got really bad sense of direction, and she's 6 and she'll be like, it's left here. Like, you turn to the left, but she's like, you need to turn down there, you've missed the turning again. And I'll go, oh yeah, and then I like when I'm really stressed and I can't like cope with them talking, I'll say I've got a messy brain, because we read this book called about someone with a messy, I think it was a dinosaur with a messy brain, and she'll say like I just want to be by myself because I've got a messy brain. So I think when you've got that kind of role model of someone who's going like, oh yeah, I did forget, like I'm really sorry, and then you can be like, when you then forget stuff, you don't then feel really terrible about it, because you've seen like, well, my mum has done that and that's okay. It's like my mum, like people think I set up my own business when I was 27, and now everyone, like you're like 19 and you can like, everyone's setting up their own businesses, or 16 or whatever, but then that was quite young, but I saw my mum running her business in her pyjamas in her bedroom. So it was like, well, she, like, what, because that's the role model I'd seen, so it was just like a normal thing for me. And so I think a lot of ADHD behaviours as a parent, if you own them and you're not like, oh, I'm sorry, like, yeah, I should be better at that, and da-da-da, and you're just like, yeah, no, like, I'll say to my daughter, because she'll be like, can daddy drive? So, like, we'll end up at the right place. And I'm just like, well, yeah, daddy's really good at driving, but then mummy's good at other things,
exactly,
and stuff. And I think that's like nice for children to be able to
Definitely.
see everyone's got different strengths.
And actually, because he laughs at me most of the time. It was only that one time that for some reason I just went on a guilt trip. But he's the one that actually just laughs at me, or he'll come into the room and go, Mum, what are you doing? And I'll just go, just sorting socks or whatever, and he'll go, because I've just literally seen you were doing that, and I knew that because something distracted you that you were going to go off and do something else, and he knows about it, so he literally comes in and goes, you're doing that thing again, and I go, really? And he goes, yeah. I said, what was I doing? And he said, you were doing such an, I'm like, oh my god, yes.
He's so helpful,
and he's so funny.
Everyone needs one.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Ollie.
Everyone needs an Ollie.
He's so
an ADHD
lush.
companion, just like following you and going, stop that, you're not meant to do that, remember this, set your alarm.
He's so
in
funny.
a kind way.
Yeah, it is in a really cute way.
That's amazing.
Oh man, I do want to ask you, I just have to put my gaps on.
This water bottle's really noisy, I'm conscious for the recording, I'm like...
So I haven't done the blame the bot questions.
What is
I haven't
that?
done the so I used to just get AI to ask the questions, and then I would just put them on cards, and then I would get the guest to pick one.
One particular question.
Yeah.
Right.
And I haven't done them for a while, and I was like, I'm going to bring them back, right? But this time I didn't want you to pick. I thought, no, I like this one enough that I'm just going to force you to do this one. But it's not my question to blame the bot.
Okay,
right. Do you and be honest, right? Do you think some people hide behind ADHD instead of taking responsibility for their behaviour?
Yeah.
I'm so pleased you said that.
I think people can hide behind anything.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the minority, because, and I think again that I'll like take everything back to coaching. I think that's one of the good things about coaching is you can understand what is ADHD and what's me. But like, it's just like with anything, like you could have, oh, it's because I've got anxiety, it's because I've got depression, it's because my mum wasn't very nice to me when I was a child, it was because I got bullied at school. Like, if you're not a person who wants to take accountability for your actions, or even like not being self-aware enough to, when you first find out about ADHD, it can feel like everything's because of ADHD and you genuinely believe that, but it's actually, well, no, it's not that. But yeah, like, I definitely think people hide behind, and not even intentionally, some intentionally, some not. Like, you can use ADHD as a reason for stuff. Because,
for example, if you know you're going to... I've got a gazette... In fact, look at the state of my alarms. So, because I have obviously I have to have my Google Calendar filled as soon as I know something, it's in there.
Me too.
But then every day I have to have my alarms going. So look,
I've got hundreds.
So this is how long it'll take to get to the end of my alarms. We're only up to 11 o'clock. That's how many I've got, because we're still going, there we go. Because every day, like, there's the last one, pay for the time tunnel.
You need to set up auto.
So when I go through the time tunnel now, I'll have to, because on my car, thankfully I can press my car steering wheel and say, set me an alarm to remember to pay the time tunnel.
Why don't you have auto top
As it happens, I didn't remember to pay the time tunnel, even though
£100
that was on. Well, thankfully now, Jason said that I must be registered on his, the car must be registered on his whatever account.
Good.
Otherwise, I would have been, yes. So even within, but the point being, I know, so I'm setting alarms. So why are people not setting alarms? Why are they allowing themselves to be late for important things if they know you can set an alarm and set it as well for 10 minutes before, so that you're like, right, I've got 10 minutes, I've got to get out the door.
So why didn't you pay that time tunnel?
Because it wasn't as important as a So for me, if I meet a client, for example, or a networking or something like that, I'll never be late. If anything, I'll be there an hour early, sitting in the car park because I'm frightened of being late. But that obviously didn't bother. I'd rather get a £100 fine, clearly. It just wasn't as important as it being a person and being mortified by letting them down.
So like with setting alarms, so alarms are a thing that a lot of ADHD people use. I have like I'll scroll through similar thing. But there's a lot of things that can happen between both on the intention to set the alarm. So like with your son saying to you, you won't even remember to set the alarm.
Yeah.
So even if you'd had your phone in your hand when you went to set that alarm for Ollie, you could have gone, right, I'm going to set that alarm for him. Oh, I've got a text message, right, I'm going to reply to that text message. Oh, an email's come in now. And then you get to the next day and you're like, oh, that thing's passed and I didn't set that because I didn't set that alarm because I got distracted at the moment. Or the next day the alarm goes off and then you walk past the socks that need sorting.
I snooze it.
And you go, oh, I'll just quickly get those socks because I'm going to be taking my shoes off when I do this recording. Need some clean ones. And then the alarm's gone off. You were on your way to do the thing, but then you've got distracted. So alarms are great. I think people should set alarms for things. I think if you're a person who struggles to get out of the house 10 minutes, like 20 minutes before, get ready to leave the house, 15, like count down for yourself.
That's what I literally do and still doesn't work.
But they've just answered your own
I was
question.
just really, I was curious as to what you were going to say, but if it's, like I say, if it's, if I've got to be somewhere and I will be there. I will be there even if it's a few minutes early. I'll be there on time because of the fact that I'll have set my alarm and then I'll probably set off way too early and then just sit in a car park like an idiot again.
And so for you, that works for you, but imagine if you were working like 2 minimum wage jobs and you had 10 minutes between each, like maybe, and you were getting to the end of the day, like maybe you would be more late for people because you don't have an extra spare hour. So I think there's people have got so many different situations that they're in, that it's hard to say like, oh well, because alarms and getting there early works for one person, that it works for other people. Like I've missed trains sitting on the train platform and the train's gone past because I've been like, right, my train's in 5 minutes, right, I just looked on LinkedIn, right, oh it's only been 1 minute now, so right, well that felt like 10 minutes but it was only 1 minute because I got time blindness because I've got ADHD, so I don't understand how time passes. Okay, so right, look back at my phone, oh my god, it's been 20 minutes. Oh shit, has the train been delayed? Please tell me. And then I go, has the train to London gone? Yeah, it went ages ago, like that's why there's no one on the platform. Oh. And then like another time, this was ages ago, like I missed my stop. I can't remember, I lived in Manchester, I missed my stop to Carlisle, so then I ended up having to go to Blackpool to get another train. And then I was getting the last train back from Blackpool to Carlisle, and then I had to ring my dad to come and collect me because sitting on the platform I'd missed the train, and he was just like, I don't like how did you not get off one train? And then you had to stay on the train for ages to be able to get to Blackpool, and even in that extreme scenario you're still not concentrating enough to get on the last train, and I'm having to drive like an hour and a half from Carlisle to Blackpool. He's like, I'm over like 10 o'clock at night, drive to Blackpool to pick you up. Like, I don't understand how this is possible. And like, especially at night, I was like, Dad, I don't know. This is how this stuff happens to me. Like, I've missed flights before, and it's not like it just. I feel like with ADHD, if you lose focus for a second,
it's a split second,
and then the ramifications. So it's like, unless you're going to live your life in hypervigilance, which a lot of people do, and you probably would have pre-diagnosed as I would have. But you can't be so focused all the time. Yeah. And it's in those moments where you're like, just relaxed for a moment and everything fell apart.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is, isn't it? I daren't relax, otherwise I'll just forget my entire life.
Everything, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
I've learned so much about myself. One thing I do have to ask you though is, people see where you are now, but what is there a part of your story, or what part of your story do people not know?
I mean, I talk a lot about my story. I'm like so narcissistic at this point. But I think probably for probably the most like interesting thing for the purpose of this podcast is the pre-diagnosis versus post-diagnosis me. So, and that's why I started my business. So before I was diagnosed, I was already a business psychologist. I was already a trained coach. And I think I was very good at those things, but I wasn't good at the business side of having a business. I was good at doing the workshops and I was good at doing the...
I'm still not good at the business side of things.
Well, you must be if you've got a good business. If you're making much money, you must be. Or you're really, really good at branding. And outsourcing. So that is an undervalued skill.
I am so good at outsourcing. Yeah.
There we go. That's why you're thriving as an ADHD.
Yeah.
So I couldn't had these good business psychology skills, great coaching skills, and I knew I was like making an impact on people's lives. And I thought, well, when you're good at what you do, you just make money and you have a business and people tell people about it and then you just become successful. No, that is not what happened. So for years and years and years, I was struggling. I was earning way less than a minimum wage because I was working so many hours, could barely pay my bills. Every month it would be am I going to make it? And my target was for myself was only £1,200 a month at this point. And it was still a struggle, and I was working 60 hours a week, and I was just and I knew I couldn't be employed again because I hated that. And I was just look around at people and be I don't understand. I've got more qualifications than them. I know I'm good at this. How are they doing X, Y, and Z? And how did they get that contract? And how are they seem to be just going from one success to the other? And I'm still stuck, and this feels so hard. And then once I got diagnosed with ADHD, and then I learned, and this is why I said at the start, I feel very fortunate that I was already trained as a business psychologist, because as I said, business psychology is about using your understanding of business, using your understanding of psychology and people to make the business more successful. For me, it was perfect because I was well, I understand my crappy business. I understand myself, and so I can apply that ADHD lens now onto how I do my business.
Yeah.
And that was just, I felt and I still feel like it now, I discovered some sort of magic spell. I went from being exhausted, not being able to have anyone who was had no way of people referring me or telling each other. My website was a total disaster. When people asked me what I did, I could never tell them. I didn't have any kind of CRM system, and there was no way for people to contact me. It was just, now I'm well, no wonder it was just a disaster. But at the time, our rejection sensitivity dysphoria was running the business. I was doing the stuff that I could see other people doing. I was being led by my interests rather than doing the actual boring bits of having a business. I was too scared to ever invest in support or coaching because I was it's so hard for me to make £1,200. I'm not going to pay that person £1,500.
Yeah.
No way, because I didn't trust myself and my ability to make the money back. Now I invest in things all the time in my business because I'm well, yeah, that's £5,000, but I know I'll make at least 10,000 back from that investment because I trust myself. So it's I would say now I am doing well in my business, and I love it, and I feel really confident, and I feel I'm making an impact on people's lives, which for me is not always been my thing. Before I got diagnosed, I set up a business called the Purpose and Potential Project, one of my many domains I own.
It's a bit of a tongue twister.
Well, yeah, good, that's right. Probably why it never got off the ground. But basically, the idea behind it was that I was I want to find out what my purpose is. I want to unleash my potential. It was this frustration of I know I have got so much to give, and I know I've got these skills, and I know I'm a kind person, and I know I want to help people, and I can help people, and I do help people, but just not on the scale that I want to. But for me, I've only been able to do that now from understanding actually how my brain works and then working in alignment with how it works rather than what I'd done previously. I've done loads of I had a tech startup for a while, so the government funds you loads of money for that. I pitched my startup in front of the CEO of Google.
Did you?
Yeah. But then along with that came this whole package of support. I've had different mentors. I've done a master's degree in business psychology. I've done business scale-up courses. I have done so much learning about business, but I could never apply any of it because I didn't have the ADHD lens on it. So a lot of it's about being consistent, being confident, putting yourself out there, following up with people, following, right, you contact them this time, then you contact them this time, systems, processes, like I couldn't do any of that. I still can't do a lot of those things, but now I outsource them and I'm fine to do that. And so learning, being able to now have that background, but actually have the ADHD lens so I can actually implement some of these things that I spent so much time and a lot of money learning, that's been the key difference. And that's what I see in my clients as well. It's like these brilliant people with amazing skills, but they're just stuck because for 20, 30, 40, 50, depending on when they get diagnosed, years, they've been taught this is the rule book for life, this is the rule book for business, this is the rule book for the workplace. Now you follow it and you're going, I don't know how to do this. This is really, really hard, but this is the rule book. And then once you're like, oh, it's not my rule book. This is my rule book. Oh, okay, then now I can use my amazing brain that actually has amazing difference than other people's brains. And now I can actually use it. And that's when everything changes. So that's what changed everything for me, was that diagnosis.
That's amazing. And what you do is just so valuable. It's fantastic. I've absolutely love speaking to. I could speak to you all day. We need to just go to the pub next time.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Can you bring the camera to the pub? Thank you so much, Becca Brighty. I can't say just Becca because you've got such a cool name.
Thank you, Anna Brand.
Becca Brighty, thank you so much for being here. So appreciate it, and thank you for being so honest.